With me for this segment, I have, starting from my immediate left, Mr. John Buonassisi. In the center, Mr. Jimmy Harn. And at the end, to my far left, Mr. Austin McCormack.
As time went on, they felt very comfortable with our knowledge, and so they started asking us to install equipment, in different parts of the state of Florida. So we did, and we worked for Permutit, worked for Polymetrics, Fluid Systems, of course. And in 1974, we were asked to provide a price for installing the Key Largo Rock Harbor RO plant, which at the time was the largest RO plant in the world, about 6 months ahead of Jeddah.
It's about 1.4 million gallons a day or something like that?
1 million gallons
1
a
million
day.
gallons a day.
Cellulose acetate membrane, 8-inch, carbon steel vessels, and the feed water is about 7,000 TDS, which is pretty high.
So we got involved with, at that time, hollow fiber membranes were seemed to be the way to go. So we had developed a relationship with Toyobo, and we couldn't get a license to do business with to sell Permutit products. So this was a way to get into the marketplace. And then we, saw the light that perhaps spiral wound technology was going to rule the day eventually. So we had quite a good run and going around and replacing all the hollow fiber plants in Florida that were already established. And we learned a lot from other people's designs. We learned from the good things that they did, and we also learned from some of the mistakes. As we all know, feed waters are unique. Florida has some unique aspects about the raw water has a lot of hydrogen sulfide, and a lot of people weren't treating hydrogen sulfide properly, and we understood the difficulties and how to handle the hydrogen sulfide in the raw water. And one thing led to another. We started building bigger and bigger plants, and that started to it was fun. We enjoyed it. We didn't do things without making some mistakes, but we were quick to correct the mistakes, hopefully before the owners of the equipment found out about it, and maintained a fairly good reputation for the most part of the, and this was, I think, to put it chronologically, 1980 to 1996.
So Jimmy, when you started, you built small plants initially, but you soon moved on to build some pretty big plants. And you and I have worked together on a couple of projects. Tell us a little bit about the competitive environment in Florida, say in the 80s and 90s.
Well, it was very competitive, and we had some very credible competition. I remember our big break was a project that we were bidding against Hydronautics, and Hydronautics not only being a membrane manufacturer, but also was a systems manufacturer, and they were very difficult to beat because not only did they build really good equipment and provide a really good service, but they were also cheap.
Inexpensive, Jimmy.
Inexpensive. Okay, right, inexpensive. And so our first big break was a project right near us for Boca Grande Island. It was called Gasparilla Island Water Association. And we were bidding that job. It was two 250,000 gallon day systems, high TDS, 4 to 5,000 TDS. And Bennett and Bishop was the engineers on that project, which my dad had worked with on conventional plants and pipelines for a lot of years, and I had worked and knew the outfit as well. So we prepared our bid, and Al Flores was representing Hydronautics, and if anybody knew Al Flores, his proposals would make the best competition's proposals look terrible. Al's proposals were meticulous, comprehensive, and Al was very focused, an A-type personality. So we bid the project, and we were the low bid, and he just couldn't believe that we had beat him. And we came very, very close to backing out of that project because there was a question on the sales tax, whether it should have been included, and we hadn't included the sales tax, but we felt the language and the specifications were clear. about that. And Bill Bishop, which owned the firm, Mr. Bennett had left the firm by that time, agreed with us that, yeah, the sales tax should have been added, yet the engineer that was in charge of the project insisted, you know, no, you needed to include it. So we almost backed out of the project for the sales tax issue, but we decided to take it. And it was a good thing. We made a fair profit, and that's still our customer today. We're in a process. We later expanded it to 1 million gallons a day. We've incorporated some new technology. We have always designed our plants so conservatively that we've always been able to upgrade them with current technology very inexpensively. We found that the polyacrylates work far superior to sodium hexametaphosphate. Sodium X had a lot of inherent problems. In the Florida heat, it would hydrolyze within a day or so, and you'd be just injecting water, a lot of waste to it.
Do you remember that incident that actually converted all the plants from sodium hex to polyacrylate? You remember that?
Yeah,
It was like six or
That was
seven.
the brown bag hexametaphosphate.
That was the brown bag
Right,
hexamet,
yeah.
like
City
6 or
of
7
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah,
Right,
had
that's
iron
right.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cape Coral was one,
Yeah.
and
City
Sanibel
of
was
Venice was
one,
one, yeah.
City of Venice was one. It was like overnight,
Yeah.
everybody quit using hex and started using polyacrylate.
Sodium hexametaphosphate was used for quite a long time for in attempts to sequester calcium carbonate in higher recovery systems, and you know, there was inherent problems with heat. It was the effectiveness of it would deteriorate significantly if you were pumping from a day tank. And Jimmy failed to mention we did some work with Pfizer on their polyacrylates, and we also after we did that, we sort of got a little sideline job supplying anti-scalants to the reverse osmosis marketplace within the sphere of influence that we had, which at that time was essentially just Florida.
The company that you started is best known for...
McCormack Corporation.
Yeah, McCormack Corporation is best known for, I think, it's true to say, is best known for its work on the industrial side.
Yes.
Did you do much municipal work at all?
I think we were mostly industrial. We had a big job finally at General Electric in Florida, which was quite complicated because of the automation requirement. But it was a large contract, and I could only get it after having sold my company to somebody who could bond an $8 million job. I couldn't bond an $8 million job. Maybe $3 million is the biggest job we had done prior to that.
Jimmy, you built a lot of plants in Florida and elsewhere. Is there one that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there are a lot of really good plants and with special situations, but I think the one that sticks out in my mind the most for being the most challenged ever, and John and I worked on this one, was that there was a plume in California that from over pumping brought salt water in, and the engineer was Dick Sudak, SPI. And they identified a plume and wanted to put an RO system on it to treat this water. Then they were going to, it was meant to be semi-portable. They were going to move it to another location in 3 years. Well, that was probably 15, 18 years ago, and it's still there treating this plume.
I could go on with this for a long time, but we've reached the end of our allotted time, and I would like to thank you all for coming. Austin, it's tremendous to see you again after all these years. And
Yes,
Jimmy,
pleasure meeting you, and you've done so well. Do you want a job?
I'm really excited by this convention.
oh yeah.
Really amazing. I love to be here. It would, yes.
Well, thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.